Yo, if you tune in to me, you watching Gully TV. This is an extension. This will be, I guess, considered part two of the my Philadelphia story from boy to man. And I was asked. I know I probably should have did it in the first video, but I was asked specifically to break down the regions in Philadelphia and their characteristics. Um, and this is what it is. Um, as you can see, I met PU and Huff. You dig? So I went home and I got my teddy bears up. Um, they was on this shit in 1990, 91, though. But anyway, the differences between the geographic locations in Philadelphia. North Philly is the biggest. That's the biggest body of Philadelphia, population-wise. I think in mass or whatever, probably the biggest too. North Philly is the biggest. North Philly niggas is like they everything that I was saying in regards to the characteristics of a Philadelphia guy being tough. Um, North Philly was the ones that you probably was gonna have an encounter with first, not because they were the deepest, but because the way they carried it. They just, I guess they knew they were the deepest. I guess they felt that it was the most notorious part of the city. They used to be screaming, from where it's cold at, and that's North Philly. And the way that they projected themselves was like niggas knew what it was. I'm from North. Norf. You hit an ambulance, that's North Philly. Um, just a whole bunch of them niggas. And you're more inclined to probably have an encounter with a North Philly guy because South Philly, they're not as, they don't mingle too much. They don't interact with people too much. They kind of stay with them. They kind of stay to themselves. And their character has always been pretty much, I guess, serious or introverted. They kind of just stay to themselves. They don't speak loud. None of that shit. And because of that, South Philly stands out. I'm going to get to them in a minute. But North Philly, like, I grew up, I was coming up in the era of Richard Allen. Richard Allen was a notorious housing project in North Philadelphia. Very, very notorious. And its residents were very, very, I believe Richard Allen probably was the most prestigious or the most notorious housing project in North Philly. It's probably, to my knowledge, Richard, if you associate a housing project with Philadelphia, they're not going to say Blumberg or Saigon and none of that. They're not going to say none of that. They're going to say, they probably would mention Richard Allen the same way that in Chicago they would mention Cabrini Green. They would mention the Richard Allen housing projects. They had songs. Ram Squad was out, so they had their own rappers. They had their own rap. They had their own rap star, who they thought was God. He's not spoken of much anymore and shit. One of these days, I'm gonna give y'all that anyway. I don't care. But anyway, North Philly they had everything, man. They had 100X. They had the Ram Squad. They had just everything that was going on. They had the biggest, most loudest, probably the face to Philadelphia, North Philly. You could say that. Rasheed Wallace's conduct in the NBA, that was not surprising to nobody from Pennsylvania. Especially from Philly. And if you're an outsider, if you had any interactions with a Philly guy in sports, they do shit like that. I mean, specifically North. He was carrying it like a North Philly guy, Rasheed Wallace. 100% poster guy. Um, all the way down to the sneakers. That Air Force One high with the straps, that was a sneaker that was real popular in Philly and specifically favored. As a matter of fact, Philly guys are the first cats I seen hooping in them joints, like hooping on them. And I didn't think it to be a comfortable hoop shoe, but they would hoop in them motherfuckers like a motherfucker. But so boom, North Philly, they also expect you to know the name, be aware of the name, be aware of their reputation. Meaning, even if a guy's a sucker, before the first thing gonna come out of his mouth is I'm from 17th and Allegheny, or I'm from Cumberland. I'm from, you don't know me. I'm from 25th and Lehigh, nigga. Like, you're gonna get that, all of that, and they expect you to buy that. I was in an incident with a rapper from Philly that's kind of, highly publicized. A disagreement or whatever. And my encounter with him, he carried it like a guy from North Philly. Like, nigga, you know what it is, you know what, and that shit was like laughable to me. And that's probably why I interacted the way I did, because I seen that 1,000 times. Like, in terms of like character, like OBH and Dark Lord, whatever. In terms of that, I wasn't I wasn't like blown away convinced by the situation, because all them niggas from North act like that, especially if they're in a pack. OBH exemplified a North Philly pack, and that's how they carry it, even in jail and shit. Seriously, that's North Philly. South Philly don't really be looking for wreck all like that, man. Like, people know about them and know what's up with them. And let me move on to South Philly. People know about them and know what's up with them, and they have a reputation, and their reputation is fueled by the rest of the city. The rest of the city will make you take notice of South Philly, because South Philly has been branded or labeled, from my perception, all through my travels. They was like maybe like the black sheep of Philly. When I say that, they was the guys that, even though all of Philly is together, they got Philadelphia as a city, and you got the geographic regions. The other geographic regions would have certain things to say about South Philly. Even all of them, West, like everybody, the South Philly dudes. Oh, he from South Philly. And it kind of made you like, what the fuck is so, I don't know. What the fuck did them niggas do? what did they do? Why is they so notorious? The South Philly cats, whatever it is about them, you could have 50 guys from North Philly, and you could imagine the stronghold on things. You can get that same effect from probably like five South Philly dudes. No disrespect, I seen it for myself. The same, again, I must reword that. The same respect that 50 or 100 guys from North Philly would get, or command, or I don't know. South Philly would get that same level of danger reputation, and it'd just be 4 or 5 niggas. Like, in my time, doing time, as an adult, they was the ones that was with the group stabbings and shit like that. South Philly come see you, they come see you. 5 of them, you know what I mean, on one nigga and shit. You dig? And I think that's known and accepted or respected about them, because at the end of the day, you just gonna hear them South Philly dudes got him, or he got into it with South Philly. Um, I had some really really close friends from South Philly because of basketball. Actually, a guy who you could say kind of turned me out with, with a spin move. Turned me out with a spin move. That's crazy. Aubrey Green from South Philly was one of the baddest motherfucking point guards I ever seen as a kid, man. He was uh, one of the older youth at Vision Quest when I was there. I probably was like 14 or something like that. He would have been 17. But he just, nobody could fuck with him in the whole thing. The whole fucking program. East Coast, West Coast. It was staff there who just came home from playing college basketball. It was staff members there, grown men. And that was their workout, to come to work instead of them lifting weights. Like, they might have lifted weights too, because it was weights there. They would come and play fucking Aubrey Green one-on-one in basketball and shit. And they ass would be sweating like a motherfucker. He'd be wearing their ass out with this same old, this spin move, the Kenny Anderson, that's what we called it and shit. Because Aubrey was lefty, like Kenny Anderson. He would spin, power dribble right, and spin and lay you up with the left. Um, Aubrey, Grimace, everybody know about Grimace. Pooh Presley played ball with Pooh. Beanie Siegel has a song called "Look at Me Now," and he said, "Couldn't play with cousin Pooh. They thought I was mocking him." Pooh was real wild reputation by himself. Like, you see what I said? Like, by himself, and I'm talking in terms of corrections, by himself, the same reputation that, like, a guy like Pooh might bark on. Guy like Pooh might bark on niggas, man, from, different parts of the city, and they might not want that conflict. He was buck wild. If you hear Beanie Siegel said they thought I was mocking him, you already know what it is and shit. But he was a type, just a one man, huge reputation and shit about wreck or whatever. Cadillac, cool black motherfucker, smooth motherfucker. I don't know where he at. That's my guy. Me and Caddy was in the same social circle. On the highest level, that's really my guy. Caddy, Pike. I know Pike. Pike is, I guess, famous. He did he caught a body in Philly that's famous. He's allegedly, I guess, killed or had something to do with killing a guy named Tupac from North Philly maybe at a basketball game or something like that. We used to get into it. Me and him never got into it personally, but my people in South Philly had a long, ongoing conflict in basketball, and it often turned, violent, semi-violent on several occasions, to where people had to intervene, and just maybe y'all shouldn't play, and we end up out there playing against each other again the next day, because that's all we had to do. But I hope Marlon, Damon Watson, these are all grown men now. These are my peers. Zafir, I Googled a lot of my friends from Philadelphia's name one time. This is some dope shit. Y'all check this out. I've done this several times over the years. When I wanted to find somebody that I was looking for, I would just search their name in Philly's Most Wanted and shit, because this is the type class that these are my peers or whatever. So I would type their names in the Philly's Most Wanted, or I write a guy's name and say Philadelphia homicide. So that's gonna tell me if somebody killed him or if he killed somebody. And a lot of times, and shit was popping up, different cases. You know what I mean? Guys that I was really close to, like notorious shit. But one of them was the situation with the chick Rianne, the music promoter down there. One of the people that I guess they had on the phone, they were trying to draw to that, I forget the Piazza murders, was Leon Woodard. That's Zafir. Me and him won a championship together at SCI Retreat. Really close. Now, anything that happened in Zafir's life after, basketball, that's between him and the law, and that is to be, I don't know, that's left up to him and the law, and will be explained, I don't know, or rectified, corrected on the day of Yom Kiyama. But listen, very close relationship with Zah. I was in touch with him recently. Like, we was like brothers, basically. We won every basketball accolade you could possibly name in the state prison system. I mean, in terms of internally in the institution, we won every 2-on-2, just every basketball related event. Me and him, we always had to split the money and shit like that. He had been up retreat for years, and Dallas was beating them niggas to death. I came up there, we beat him by 39 points. I was the wild card up that motherfucker. Them niggas will never ever forget me. So when I say that I'm a Pennsylvania basketball legend, I got the hardware and everything. You dig what I'm saying? Boom. I gotta take you back to the roots again, to the juvenile facilities, in terms of explaining this other region of Philadelphia. When I first encountered Philly, and I started to assess them and categorize them based on class, education, disposition, fresh game, and I don't know, maybe brute strength. You know what I mean? Out of all of them, out of all of Philadelphia, there were some guys that seemed to stick out. I'm talking about South Philly stuck out too, but these guys stuck out for different reasons. This shirt, this is a West Philadelphia shirt. This color, this pink shit, this is a West Philly thing. When, Cameron is popular and associated with wearing pink, but the pink, as far as men wearing it being a metrosexual garment and a statement, bitches love this shit. West Philly is responsible for this. This was the dress code. This is how you could spot them niggas. Out of all of Philadelphia, they had the nerve to, or they had the disposition. You have to have a certain personality to wear this too. This might not look right. This might not look right on a wild nigga. The guys from West Philly, they dress different. They dress different. They move different. Although I could say Philadelphia's dress code as a whole was, like preppy thug type thing, right? There were some guys who were just prettier than others. You dig? And I was embraced by them deeply. These are the guys from West Philadelphia, right? The guys from West Philly. Um, when I was in Vision Quest, there was a specific group of guys that were kind of like stars in the camp. One of them specifically was Sherman Fletcher. Sherm, how you been, my nigga? I know it's been a long time. I know you gonna see this. This is who I grew up to be. How you doing? One of these guys was Sherman Fletcher. Sherm commanded a level of respect. It wasn't based on fear. Like nobody was scared of him. Like that wasn't how Sherm gave it up. And that wasn't really how the guys from West Philly gave it up. Like them other spots, they kind of carried their reputation with the underlying thing being violence or danger. North Philly and South Philly, you know what I mean? They on some, I don't know, maybe alpha muscle, gorilla shit, whatever. Um, West Philly was the guys that I was talking about that was getting the facials and the manicures and just dressing fresh. Sherman Fletcher was a guy who he was popular, and it was known that Sherm was, in terms of street credibility, even as a teen, he probably was like 16, because I was about 14 or something like that. Even as a teen, he was known as what I would consider right now a Rich Porter type. Sherman Fletcher, as a juvenile. Sherm and the guys around Sherm, Nakiah Horton, Blaze, another guy who I typed into Google and found out that he bodied something. I got pictures of these guys as a youth of Vision Quest, and their reputation there, it wasn't, none of the West Philly guys, none of their reputation was based on intimidation or nothing like that. It wasn't at all on shit. West Philly and Southwest Philly, who actually run together, they're like the same breed. Southwest might be even more extreme with the pretty shit. I mean, if there was a separation between the two of you, would say who the wildest, West Philly or Southwest, I'd probably go with West. Southwest Philly guys were known as fly guys, period. Southwest Philly was known as fly guys. Southwest Philly and West Philly always kind of hung together, walked together. I believe it's, you know what I'm saying, some type of, not a lot of separation in terms of, you know, geographically, but the guys in West Philly have a section called the Bottom. The Bottom, the guys from the Bottom, and that's where I believe Sherm to be from. Philly's the Black Bottom, the Bottom of Philly, were known as, I think maybe, you know, hustler elite. If my guys from Logan, if Huff and PU and those guys wanted to go to West Philly and Southwest and hang out, they can kick it and hang out. They was just like Southwest. They was just a little bit wild. But in terms of the fly, the social circles, getting out a chick and all of that, PU and Huff, the guys from Logan, they can come out west, and probably blend in. At North, you kind of can notice these niggas, man. You kind of can notice them. They might look like they done been in a rumble or two. But again, the guys from West Philly, Sherman Fletcher, Kareem Ford, Otis, my man, Otis Lorette, Ring Bells. These guys kind of carried it a little bit different. And because of the fashion thing and just their demeanor, they weren't violent. They were easier to get along with. you didn't have to change your character to be around West Philly and Southwest. North Philly, you got to have your game face on at all times. You got it. It might not be cool to smile around them niggas too much. Guys from West Philly, they smile and shit. They the toothpick niggas. They the niggas that you know how they give it up. But of course, I was embraced by West Philly. They the ones that if guys from I'm doing this because I was in institutions, the juvenile institutions when they had closed, and I was in state prisons when they had closed too. So again, you could spot West Philly and Southwest because of their dress code, demeanor, and basically their disposition. I don't think I ever really met a guy from West Philly and Southwest. I'm pretty sure there are cases of people who did. I never really met a guy from West Philly and Southwest that wasn't like educated or like that. Like they kind of like they probably was going to Overbrook. They probably was attending school and shit like that because it was fashionable. Overbrook High School, that was a fashion show in my era. It was the guys who went there. They was known hoe killers. Um, the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. That's a show where you seen these garments on television. You seen them on television. All you had to do was tune in because he was from West Philly. And often, if you were into fashion, Carlton Banks and Fresh Prince was often battling for the spotlight in terms of who was the freshest on the show during what episode. Carlton wasn't no walk in the park either. My relationship with West Philadelphia has always been flawless. I never even had so much as an argument with them. They're not aggressive at all. They don't carry it like that. And I believe they pride themselves in being different from the rest of the city. Like, they could say something like, "You can come over here, man. This ain't like North. Them wild niggas. They just totally different." My relationship with them, again, it was that pocket that I existed in all through prison, making it all the way to Albion where I maxed out at. There was a guy there who was from West Philly who actually had a notorious reputation. And my encounter with him was over a period of time. I didn't know who he looked at like, but I heard his name all the time. I ended up finding out that he was from West Philly a little later. But I heard his name all the time, and the first close encounter that I had with his name, because I keep saying his name because he was on the other side of the jail. Now, this nigga's on the other side of the jail. He's from West Philly, and his name is ringing. Like, he's basically one of the jail goonies. I believe he was one of the guys with, yeah, if I would say when I got to Albion, who was known as the gorillas, the bullies amongst population, it was two guys. Truck, what's up, Truck? Truck from North Philly. I believe Truck's name was Jamil too. Truck from North Philly, who was a gorilla, pretty boy, and Bayat. During my travels through institutions, guys from Philadelphia, they take on attributes. They take on attributes that will, of course, embody their personality. And I've noticed that a lot of guys who was like tough, feared, respected, or gorillas, or infamous, their names was like Sadat, Anwar, Bayat, or Ahmed. Yeah, those names were kind of like If a guy was named that, he might be on some bullshit. He might be a gorilla or something like that. But anyway, my encounter with the notorious Bayat from West Philly was this. On Saturday mornings, I guess whether the institutions was understaffed or it was just, I don't know, maybe they thought it was a privilege, they would mix the yards. Oh, the weekends it was visiting days, so a lot of inmates would be in a visitor room. So both yards would be kind of empty, I guess, affording them the luxury of combining the yards, and that way they don't have to utilize so many staff members. So every blue moon, maybe like every 6 months, they would combine the yards. And when they combine the yards, this is both sides of the jails, two separate economies, two separate drug worlds, two separate Goonies, two separate notorious strongholds, two superpowers. This is like putting two Alpha and Omegas just clashing. Just you putting them in the same yard for the day. Morning yard, afternoon yard, and night yard. During these combining of the yards, all of the, you could imagine what type of shit get passed. All of the weaponry, all of the drugs, all of the tapes, sneakers. You need to get your man some sneakers. Just wear the clothes. This is the ultimate trafficking situation. Anyway, and because of that, whoever ain't in the visitor room is trying to be in the yard. So all of the movers and shakers are in the yards because they're able to move around. Whenever the yards were combined, there was no question there was going to be a big time basketball game going on between us, everybody on my side of the jail, the east side of the jail, all of us who play against each other, who be fighting each other, who be arguing, and all of us who have our own separate beefs on the basketball court or personally in the jail. We might not even get along in the jail. On that Saturday when they combine the sides, all of us to be going through it, we on the same team. So what you got is an all-star team. You dig? All of the baddest mob, we all on the same team. We're not playing against each other. On the other side of the jail, you got the same thing. Mario Mitchell and all of his guys and shit, right? This is big business. This is something to bet on. This is something to bet on. And one of our first encounters, they came over to the east side of the jail. And I think when I got out there, a lot of them were already on the hoop court by the time we got out there. They might have let them out first. And so when we get there, I see Mario, I see Miz and shit. We walking up with our sneakers and shit. And, he like, what's up, nigga? What's up? What I'm saying? This is the approach, almost like a rumble. Yo, what up? Get y'all fire, y'all. What y'all waiting on? Let's go. And we get to suiting up, and I look at the other end of the court, and it's a bunch of fat niggas. Mario got a bunch of fat niggas with him and shit. And I'm looking at these fat niggas. I'm like, is this a fucking joke? Because I really play ball. Me and Mario really play basketball. It was other dudes on the court that really play ball. On the streets growing up. We really basketball players. And I'm like, man, the fuck is they got these fat niggas out here for? What the fuck is they gonna do? Over a period of time, I actually learned that it ain't even about being fat in terms of basketball. It was fat killers in jail, fat niggas doing street ball moves and everything. This is crazy, freak show. Fat niggas dunking, just crazy. But anyway, Mario, they got a bunch of fat niggas on the fucking court and shit. And, I'm looking down at the niggas, trying to see who I'm gonna stick or who could stick me and shit like that. And we about to check ball up, and it was a dude kept like shooting the ball and shit, like fucking with the ball and shit. He kept fucking with the ball, like shooting. And he like, man, I ain't getting off the court. He said he wasn't getting off the court, and they kind of like kowtowed toward. They kind of like he was getting away with this shit somewhat. And Mario was one of the only niggas. Miz was one of the only niggas who could do something. I guess do something with him or tell him what to do. He like, come on, Yak. He called him Yak. Come on, Yak, man, quit playing this shit. And kind of moved him off the court. And dude went on. I guess maybe they laughed a little bit. And dude went on off to the sideline. But anyway, he still got these fat niggas on the court. I think the nigga Yak. I think he got back on the court for a minute, but he was just a gorilla. He wasn't doing nothing. He might have got some rebounds, and I know that he was out there trying to somewhat flex his muscle. I mean, yeah, because he had a big body. Then there was this other fat nigga named Pun, Rennie, who was with Bayat and them niggas and shit. He got on the court for a few minutes too. Then they had this other fat nigga named Bulldog. Bulldog was a gorilla I think he's from North Philly, Jesse Armstead. I'll never forget. You see, I know his name. This nigga was a problem. He was like fat, muscular and shit. Like he was a fucking bulldog. He was problems. But we played them niggas. I got off and shit. And I remember as they was going back to their side of the jail, them niggas was talking shit. And I'm looking like, this fat ass nigga can't play no fucking ball. Fat ass niggas can't play no fucking ball. We won that there. We might have split. Whatever. We were all appeased. It was good rec. And I'm like, man, I can't wait till we play them niggas again. You know what I'm saying? And fat ass niggas. I ended up going up to the kitchen, working in the kitchen. And that's when you encounter the dudes from the other side of the jail. We all work together. So when I get there, a couple of them fat niggas work in the gym. I don't know these niggas all like that, but I'm peeping that they movers and shakers, both of them. Yak, the nigga that they call him Yaki Yak, and this other fat nigga named Rennie or Pun. They call him Pun. Him and Yak, they kind of like, they be all in the same crowd, like the hustler crowd on that side of the jail. You know, Yak, Mario, Lil Wee Wee from North Philly. They all together and shit. And you know, once you see the hustler circuit is different and it's not as confrontational. Everybody's trying to cheat, steal something out the kitchen, trade, bartering. It's the bartering circuit. So I start developing relationships with these guys because we work in the gym and we work in the kitchen every day. And Pun was a cool motherfucker. He wasn't no basketball player. He was just fat and athletic enough to play. So he was out there getting some minutes and shit. The other dude, who they call Yak, he didn't talk much. He never really talked. He just used to, he was the floor man. He used to be mopping floors and squeegeeing floors. He never talked though. He never talked much. I didn't know his name. I only could see his last name on his tag on his fucking inmate uniform and shit. And he didn't talk much. He didn't bother people or nothing and shit. Like, and he used to give us chicken and shit. This nigga was giving us food and shit. Like, he kind of had juice. He had juice. Yeah, he definitely had juice. The staff respected him, kind of let him do what the fuck he wanted. But his job was the squeegee man and shit. And he roamed around doing whatever the fuck he wanted. He go in a bake shop. Like, he was doing whatever he wanted. And again, he was a cool nigga. He was just laid back like a motherfucker, right? So, boom. Time goes by and we doing time together, me and them fat niggas. Yak and Pun, we working in the kitchen together. We getting real close, real cool niggas, man, hustlers. You know, I'm starting to get a gist of how much time they have. And the nigga Yak supposed to have a lot of time. Maybe had close to 50 years or some shit like that. He might have had 19 to 50, or he might have I know he had. They said he had a lot of time. The other guy, Pun, you know, you could tell that he didn't have much. You could tell when somebody's gonna go home one day. You dig? But Yak, he didn't carry it like that. He game face on and shit. But anyway, time goes by and I'm still hearing this dude Bayat's name. Bayat this, Bayat that, Bayat this. One of a incident happened where my man Boogaloo got into it. He was horse playing with a guy from West Philly named Sean Spalls. They were horse playing and they got a write up. When the write up got written up, it looked like Bug might have told on Shiz. Uh, he didn't tell on him. Whatever it was the wording because they ironed it out. But it required the Philly muscle, the Philly guys, and the Erie guys to kind of like we all got to be on the track at the same time to make sure don't nobody get hurt, don't nobody get jumped on, and all that kind of shit. And this ain't no conflict because it's with West Philly, number one, who you can talk to. North and South, it might not be no talking and shit. Um, Number one, it's an issue with West Philly. And number two, we know Shiz. We play basketball with him. He's cool and shit. During the course of that, after Bug and Shiz, they ironed it out. Everybody dapped up. It's good. Think somebody ate the write up. As we were walking away, my man Rock was like, if Bayat was over here, man, we would have had to fight, yo. So I'm still getting the gist of this guy Bayat. Whenever I hear some gambling going on, the rackets, I'm hearing his name. Bayat and Vendetti. The tickets, just any types of moves going on, his name wouldn't be far away from it, especially if it was on that side of the jail. Notorious Bayat. One day I'm in the kitchen, we sitting down, and I had heard them calling him Yak on the hoop court. And somebody walked up while we were sitting down, eating. We used to be sitting down in the back of the kitchen on these benches, just chilling and shit. And somebody said, hey, Bayat. And this dude 3 feet away from me who been working with me the whole time, cool nigga. He was like, what's up? This is the floor man. And I'm like, oh shit. This is Bayat. I'm like, oh shit. This is the nigga that the whole jail scared of. Like, I'm like, damn. So during the course of our interactions, I don't know if it was that day or it might have been right on the spot or a few minutes later. I said, yo, man, you the nigga Bayat? And he like, yeah, what's up? And I said, man, all these niggas are scared of you. Like, I didn't even know who you was and shit. Like, you're a cool ass nigga. Why is these niggas so scared? Like, what the fuck? And he was like, basically, this is what he said. Whatever he did or whatever he was involved with, he had a lot of time, and I believe the general population knew him to have a lot of time. While everybody perceived him to have all of this time, this I guess 50 years or whatever, this nigga was in court knocking them sentences the fuck down. You know what I mean? Like, I guess he was rumbling and he was giving that time back. But what he said to me that day was, hey man, whatever them niggas be saying, however they want to feel, let them niggas feel like that, man. He like, man, I'm about to get the fuck up out of here, man. Like, so we kind of like laughed. It was like a private moment, like almost like that person that they talking about, that ain't even who I am no more. I don't know. He might have been Bayat the monster at a point in time. He like, that ain't even who the fuck. I'm trying to get the fuck out of here. And when I left, I'm like, damn. And that I learned something that day about it. I use it in terms of being Gully TV. When you encounter these guys who got the notorious reputation that really get busy and shit like that, they be nice guys. They be like regular guys and shit. I'm serious. They be like nice guys and shit. The ones that be trying to act like monsters, Like the rapper that I had the disagreement with, they kind of be frauding, and I know this. You feel me? I know this because of the Bayat story. You dig? So, yeah, that's the differences between North Philly, South Philly, West and Southwest. Everybody in between Germantown, Uptown, um, Frankfurt, Northeast. Don't do me like that. You dig? Don't do me like that, man. We maybe another time, but until then, I hope y'all enjoy Dribble. It's spectacular. Um, I still got Logan Valley with me. Still got Logan Valley with me. You know, the low life thing is it's different, right? Not the shit that you see on shelves and shit. Like when you walk into the store, you gotta really like, hold on, fly half. You gotta really like put your footwork in, man. You know what I'm saying? If you want your dribble to be right. This right here, this is me before the low lives. This is who I was. Dressing, you know. This is what was popping in 91, 92. This is me before the low lives. This is me after. Shout out to Philadelphia. Shout out to my man David Amaker, Huff Thousands, wherever you at. I heard you book. Um, rest in peace. Rest in peace to PU. And Romel Tucker, my man. One of my basketball brothers, my little brother. What's up, nigga? It's Millie. Peace.